everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I have another Aerogarden experiment video all about growing shishito peppers. I really wanted to grow as many pepper varieties as possible this year, so I started experimenting with all different types, and I found a couple Asian varieties that I thought would be fun to try out. So the shishito pepper is one of them, and some pepper varieties have been really tricky and some have been really easy, and the shishito is one of the easiest to grow in my opinion. So I think these are a really great pepper to try if you want to grow indoors in a hydroponic environment, but you also are relatively new to like hydroponics. So shishitos are technically a hot pepper. They are part of the capsicum annum family, and I actually just found out that some countries call their peppers capsicums. I think in Korea they do that, and maybe Australia and a couple other places. And it's kind of funny, like it kind of made me wonder why we call them peppers, because it makes more sense to call them after capsicum, which is like the botanical name. But yeah, anyway, these are technically a hot pepper, but really I would say not. Like they're kind of more of a sweet snacking pepper. They have a thin skin, they're light green, and they're I guess they've been bred to be very mild tasting. So only about 1 in 10 is hot, and I don't even think that those are quite hot, to be honest. They're more of a snacking appetizer kind of pepper. The name shishito actually comes from a Japanese word. They're a Japanese pepper. I believe shishi means like lion's mane in Japanese. And so I guess they thought that these peppers looked like a wrinkly lion's mane. To be honest, I don't really see it, but what do I know? And they are pretty easy to grow. So I started them indoors about sometime in this early spring. And I planted a couple directly in the Aerogardens, and a couple I used the paper towel method. So if you're having trouble germinating pepper seeds, they can be a little bit difficult to get going. Then you can try the paper towel method, and basically what you do is you wet a paper towel with like lukewarm water. You don't want it to be too hot, too cold, just like room temp. And you put the seeds on the paper towel, and then you fold up the paper towel like a little packet, like a little envelope, so the seeds don't fall out, and place it inside a plastic bag. And the plastic bag helps trap in the moisture and keep the seeds moist. Then you want to place it in a warm environment. So I usually put it in the kitchen cabinet, and then just check on it every couple days until the seeds germinate. Plants can take a while to germinate. Some of them will take 3-4 weeks. It's not uncommon, so just make sure not to forget about them. I made that mistake a couple times, and eventually the paper towel will dry out. So you want to transplant the little baby seedling into the Aerogarden or your outside garden like as soon as they do germinate. Maybe not your outside garden, but you know what I mean, like put it in like a little container. And I use the Aerogarden Grow Anything kit. It's basically empty plastic pods and sponges, and then that way I can use whatever seeds I want. I think Aerogarden did come out with shishito peppers as like a pod, a pre-seeded pod, but they don't tend to have that many pepper options. So I think it's nice to be able to grow whatever seeds that you want to grow, and so you're not limited to just what the company sells. Shishitos are really easy to grow, so once I planted them in both the Harvest and the Bounty, they really just took off. About 6 weeks in, they started producing peppers, which is just insanely fast for a pepper plant. Some pepper varieties don't even put flowers out until 3 months in. So to get actual peppers going at 6 weeks is a really nice, quick maturing variety. And the plants themselves, they really don't need any pruning. They grow nice and compact, nice and bushy. They have leaves at like all lengths of the stem. And then at one point I moved them all to the Bounty. I just think they have a little bit more space there. The lights are a little bit better suited for fruiting plants compared to the Harvest. But in general, if you have a countertop Aerogarden model or any countertop garden, then I think these are a great pepper option. Now the pepper plants are about 8 inches tall, so they're super compact. Each plant has about 20 to 30 peppers on it, so it's a pretty good yield, especially for 1 to 2 people. And it has peppers all along the length of the stem, which I find pretty interesting. Like there are some peppers that are so low that they're like touching the base of the unit. So one of the interesting things about shishitos is that you actually eat them when they're in their immature stage. So when they're light green, they go from light green to like a deeper, darker green, and then eventually red when they're mature. But you actually want to pick them when they're still in that like bright, glossy green stage. They tend to just not taste as good when they're older. There's peppers all over the place. They are a little small. The shishitos are definitely much smaller than I was expecting, but I wonder if it's because they are a little bit crowded in the Bounty. So this is like the max height that I can raise the Bounty in my kitchen, just because the kitchen countertops are kind of low. So I think at some point I will transfer these over. I'll either move the bounty so I can raise the light further, or I'll move the peppers out and put them into the farm. But yeah, they're doing well. They're loaded with peppers. It's a little hard to see because Shishito peppers are green. But like you can see back there, there's like 3 little peppers, more here, more there, more there. They're just really all over. It's a very productive pepper plant. The flowers are white, kind of look like this. And then when they do like fertilize, it's a self-pollinating plant. So the flower, this is a closed flower, eventually it opens to look like that. And then when it has been fertilized to produce a pepper, the white flower bud dries up and falls off, and you're left with like a little green bud like this, which then becomes a small little pepper like that guy or that guy, and then they eventually grow to get a little bit bigger. And they have this very distinctive shriveled look to them. See, and they're all over the place. The bottom here, got a little one here. Lots of peppers all over. And with pepper plants, ideally you do want to harvest them as they're ready, because if you just leave the fruit on the plant, then the plant will eventually stop producing new fruits. So I usually just harvest them, I put them in a little container, and I wait until I have enough for a meal. These are known to be like a thin-skinned pepper, so they do really well to sauteing, to blistering, to deep frying. You can like coat them in a tempura batter and deep fry them. That's a really good snack. You can also eat them. They're like a very popular Japanese appetizer, so you can blister them and then put like a little bit of salt and lemon juice, and they're a really nice appetizer. And yeah, they're very similar to like padron peppers. If you've ever had like Spanish tapas, they're basically like an Asian version of that. So I think these are a really great pepper to grow, especially indoors. They're quick, they're easy, they don't really require pollination. I can't remember if I mentioned that, but I did not need to hand pollinate them at all. They just produced white flowers on their own, peppers on their own, and they're just flooded with peppers. The one complaint I have is that the peppers are really small. I think it's best to pick them when they're still nice and bright and like a bright green. Once they start turning darker like this, they eventually turn to red. And I think they're just not as tender. So yeah, we'll say these are definitely really small Shishitos. I was not expecting them to be so small. This is maybe the biggest one, and this is probably 2 inches. So yeah, some of them are downright puny, like this guy. This is so puny. Also this one, and I have heard that like the size of it is kind of predetermined by the flower and like when it pollinates. So if you see something like originally when I saw one like this, I kind of waited thinking that if I give it more time it'll grow bigger, but it doesn't. It stays the same size and then just ends up turning darker. So should just harvest them when they're in a good ripening stage. But yeah, this is not bad considering how many are there here? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, let's say about 20. And I've still got, probably only harvested like a third of the plant. There's still tons more and like tons more growing. So not bad for the amount of peppers. The size is a different story. These are significantly bigger. So let's see, this is, granted this is a pretty big one. So like, look at this compared to this, like it's puny. This one is like a normal size. This is one of the ones that grew. So let's compare like a more average sized one. So like, there we go, they're about average. Like the large one is about average, but some of these are like really nice and big. Like this, okay, this one's a chonker, he's massive. So you can kind of tell. Grocery store on the right, homegrown on the left. I think probably what it is I need to put it in a bigger unit or give it more space and not crowd it so much, and that might make a difference in the size of the fruit, but it's just kind of comical like seeing the size difference. But yeah, just kind of funny. If you have any tips on how to get larger fruit
let me know.
Overall, super happy with growing these. I definitely recommend them. If you've never tried Shishitos and you don't like spicy food, then give these a go, because they're very mild, sweet, kind of savory pepper, and they taste really good. If you have more pepper varieties that you would recommend, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in my next video.